What you're about to hear will have you rolling on the floor. Eventually the old lady swapped seats. Jason returned to his familiar seat, calming down as he walked onto campus, surrounded by noise that sounded like a choir gone wrong. In class, the teacher was narrating the epic tale of Jesus gives the blind a new lens. Jason suddenly interrupted, pointing out that this whole thing is practically magic in the realm of science, launching a scientific showdown. His remarks made the class awkward, with the teacher explaining these religious stories are humorous symbols, not scientific facts. But Jason was adamant about his point, not afraid to challenge the teacher's classic lines, leaving the teacher at wit's end. Left with no choice, the teacher called Jason's parents for a meeting, and after class, Jason found himself cornered by a bunch of his classmates clowned him by imitating his actions, even shooting arrows at him in class like it was a comedy skit. A student pointed at him and asked, which team? He hesitated, not decided yet. They teased him, saying he must have fallen from the crib as a kid, which explained why he seemed a bit off. Suddenly, Jason lost it and stepped on someone's foot. His parents were called in, and the teacher said things had become routine. His mother tried to clarify Jason meant no harm, but the school insisted his conduct warranted a meeting. The school showed the injured student's case, and Mom raised an eyebrow, claiming Jason was really the victim here. The school laid down the law, saying Jason must blend in with his peers, or else they'd have to look into special ed options. This sent his parents into deep thought, but on the ride back, Jason suddenly reminded his dad to stick to those eco-friendly rules. Today was their last drive since they hit the eco limit to talk about being a green hero. Mick complained about the restrictions, saying abandoning the car was quite the burden. He tried to explain that public transit schedules were basically a nightmare. During the car chat, Mick noticed his sister coughing and instantly went into panic mode. He demanded to open a window to cut down on germs, playing the super protector. Back home, father and son discussed Jason's education as the school wanted him to fit in. Mick thought a special school might offer Jason a reliable refuge. But father strongly disagreed, claiming Jason had an insatiable thirst for knowledge. The couple's differing views escalated into a heated argument, with Fatima complaining Mick was hardly ever home. She carried all the household responsibilities alone, while Mick countered that financial pressures were suffocating him. The argument intensified, making the living room atmosphere tense, and Jason eavesdropped on his parents' quarrel. As a result, he silently resolved to stay in regular school instead of moving to special ed. He noticed the soccer game on the floor and remembered classmates saying, "Everyone deserves their own team." He pondered why he didn't belong to a team, while Mick patiently explained this cultural phenomenon. He declared seriously that he had to attend games personally to consider himself a real fan. To achieve this, he set up a series of standards to evaluate a team's worth. This included tactics, fan culture, and design, all under the scrutiny of this taste curator. He solemnly stated that only teams that met his criteria could ever be considered for his fandom. Mick suggested a new plan: take Jason to a live game this weekend. The catch was no trouble at school, and he joked that the religious teacher was a conspiracy theorist. Jason eagerly agreed, but immediately laid out this plan to pick from 56 teams to meet his standards. He insisted each team must have at least one live game, leaving Mick flabbergasted. But Jason was adamant that only through observation could one reach a scientific conclusion. Mick finally relented, arranging his work to plan the football adventure. Jason laid down some stadium rules. First, no leaving during the game. Second, sit with real fans. Third, no gaudy shoes for players. And fourth, no advertising stunts. Fifth, no knots is allowed among the fans. These rules were getting ridiculous. He could only nod helplessly, while a worker approached, trying to sell them travel insurance, leaving Jason confused. Why is a railway worker selling insurance? The guy casually replied he had a clown for breakfast. Subtitles. Mick noticed Jason's unease, realizing this was no comedian's routine. So he ordered a plate of pasta with tomato sauce, insisting sauce must be served separate. But when it arrived, Jason found the sauce mixed in with the noodles. Disaster. He was devastated, trembling and shouting, "You can't do this to me." Quickly, Mick asked the staff to bring another one. Sauce must be served on the side. However, Jason suddenly regretted and yelled out, "We can't waste food," which landed him in a logic loop. To avoid waste, Mick had no choice but to eat it, but Jason still refused to share.